Good afternoon. My name is Barry.
Hello, and my name is Nic C. It's nice to meet you.
We're here to do two debates today on two separate movies. We're doing A Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick and Apocalypse Now by F.F Coppola. Clockwork Orange is my film. It's a film starring Malcolm McDowell, largely based upon the storyline of Alex DeLonge as he travels from hooligan to proper citizen and back to hooligan again in a proscenium arc that marks the entire whole of the film.
And my film will be Apocalypse Now, which is directed by F.F Coppola. It was originally planned to be directed by George Lucas back in 1976, but apparently he was doing some film called Star Wars at the time.
I see. Never heard of it.
But it's all based off of a book called Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Well, I was wanting to take this opportunity to compare the two films.
Okay.
Apocalypse Now was made 8 years after A Clockwork Orange, but I have to say there's a lot of similarities when you compare the two. The cinematography of the piece really stands out when it's put to the classical music. The average length of a film is like, 80 to 100 hours of film, give or take 50. But that one scene had as much or more than your average length film at the time of film stock, because there's so much raw B-roll, rolling around in the helicopters, blowing stuff up, waiting for smoke to, start up. The 3 years it took to make that averaged out to 1.5 edits per day. Basically, one cut per day. Like, okay, I'm gonna put this piece of film and this piece of film together. All right, I'm done. 3 years later, finished piece, supposedly.
Well, that type of time is something that Hollywood and what I like to call the meat factory condition is that, Hollywood is a money machine. It pumps out the money, and the filmmakers out there grind out the beef. And it's just care like that is no longer taken, and it's considered both wasteful and an obsolete practice to take that, unless you're a particularly independently rich director and you fund your own film.
I.e. Coppola.
Look the television. Go look at the camera. Just keep going. Go on, keep going. The television. Go look at the camera. Go look at the camera. Just go by like you're fighting. Like you're fighting. Go look at the camera. The television. Just go through. Go through. Just go by. Keep on going. Go look. Go on. Keep going. Go look at the camera. Go on. Keep going. All right.
I always believe that when directors choose to pair violent or overly violent scenes in a movie with lighter or more easygoing, easy-listening music, and that's to nullify the fact of what the viewer is seeing, the horror of what the viewer is seeing, and that's used well in both films.
Was a bit of the old Ludwig van.
The film, A Clockwork Orange, took what society thought of as violence and tried to perfect it by overwhelming him with violence and giving him, golly, the way that they torture is almost like torture.
It was torture.
The eyes stretching.
It was torture. That was actually real, too. Those clips, those were not like prosthetics.
Yeah,
those were real metal clips.
That's what's used for surgery.
Mm-hmm. Malcolm McDowell was forced to be strapped in his chair for 38 takes of that with your eyes clipped open. And I don't know if you've ever done this before, but they were like, hold your eyes open like this for a couple of seconds and imagine someone having to drop droplets in there, just drip, drip, drip. So at the scene where he's screaming, it's a sin, it's a sin, it's a sin, that's real, him just getting the scene done, because Kubrick wanted him to really break and that to show on camera. And the only way you can really achieve that, you can't just tell someone, okay, you're gonna be normal and then you're gonna go slightly crazy.
Sin? What's all this about sin?
Using Ludwig van like that, he did no harm to anyone. Beethoven just wrote music.
Are you referring to the background score?
Yes. So you're keen on music? Yes. Can't be helped.
Malcolm McDowell mentioned that they had to actually go back and do a reshoot of that scene because Kubrick didn't get a close-up of his eyes. And so they had to go back after the entire production, and you can see how much Malcolm had aged, which brings me to my next point of the dedication of Martin Sheen. You know, the scene that stands out most to me is when he's alone in the beginning, and he's in the room, and he's staring at himself in the mirror, and he literally punches his reflection. Now this is due to the fact that Coppola is off the camera directing Sheen, almost trying to psych him out. The production of this was so crazy. You know that it was scheduled for 6 weeks of production. And it ended up being stretched out to nearly 16 months.
That's, I mean...
Well, due to some weather issues, apparently a typhoon knocked out a bridge or like a whole set or something that sent back like 3 months. And
you talk about
money,
going over budget.
Yeah, oh my God. Coppola had to go into his budget, like he had to invest millions of his own money because he was so far over budget. And, you know, not only did he lose money, it says that he almost lost nearly 100 pounds. Martin Sheen almost died on it. He had a heart attack due to heat exhaustion.
Every director needs to know how to bilk his actors and to push their buttons and in the right sequence that they get the performance, whether they have to be angry or sad or go crazy or just be murderously insane or act like they're killing somebody and really make it believable.
It was around by the derelict casino that we came across Billy Boy and his 4 droogs. They were getting ready to perform a little of the old in, out on a weepy young debauchee.
One of the things about the film is that when it came out, it was rated X. It was given a rating of X. And at that time, the only other film that was of that rating was Midnight Cowboy, which was made in 1969. And I was just wondering what you thought about how society took that film at the time.
I believe they took it as highly pornographic. And that's the one thing I enjoy most about that, and I'm glad you brought that up, is that pornography is not only important, it's essential. It carried most of the story. So to me, I think you're exactly right. It's not a film you would want to watch with your mother in the room, but it's very important and it's very essential to the fact that he wants you to feel uncomfortable and to feel not in your safe zone.
Come and get one in the yarbles! If you have any yarbles, you eunuch jelly thou! Let's get her, boys!
The films are both the same because they're both very much their own entities. They're the same because they're different. And I know that sounds very, very sketchy of the fact, but that's the only way you can describe these two filmmakers. These films will still be as strong and as deep-rooted in the history of film as they are now. Movies imitate life, and life finds a way of imitating films. So we hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, perhaps inspired you to go out and see the movie for yourself if you haven't already. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Barry.
And I'm Nick.
Signing out.